Rhyce Harding, June 20th, 2024, 8:45 in the morning. Jersey Road, Blackett, a quiet residential suburb on the western edge of Sydney, New South Wales. Rhyce Harding, 27, was driving to work. He was, according to people close to him, on the phone with a friend as he drove that morning. That call was still connected when everything went wrong. Somewhere along Jersey Road, Rhyce's car crossed paths with a white and red ute driven by Bradley Wayne Wilkinson. According to police and court records, Wilkinson escalated the confrontation aggressively. Rhyce felt threatened enough to stop and get out of his vehicle. That single decision, stepping out to have a word, is the pivot point of this entire story. Words were exchanged, and then Wilkinson used his ute not as a vehicle, but as a weapon. Yes, seriously. He drove it into Rhyce, pinning him against the side of the cab. Rhyce tried to hold on. His jumper got tangled in part of the vehicle. Wilkinson accelerated, and Rhyce was dragged roughly 180 to 330 feet, 55 to 100 meters, down the road before the ute drove off and left him lying on the road, well over 100 feet from his own car. A rear wheel had gone over him. Paramedics responded but couldn't save him. He died at the scene. His friend, who had still been on the other end of that phone call, had effectively heard his final moments in real time. Police put out a public hunt for the white ute. Wilkinson turned himself in. He pleaded guilty to manslaughter and failure to render assistance. In November 2025, nearly 18 months after Rhyce's death, he was sentenced to 16 years in prison. The judge was explicit. He had used his vehicle as a weapon during a road rage episode. Darshan N, Bengaluru, India. Late night of October 25th, 2025, early hours of the 26th, around midnight. Darshan, 24, was a delivery rider for Zepto, one of those 10-minute grocery apps that runs on an army of people on scooters threading through city traffic at all hours. He'd finished work for the night. His friend Varun had come over, and the two of them were riding together on the scooter, Darshan driving, Varun on the back. The JP Nagar area of Bengaluru, ordinary night. And then the scooter lightly brushed the rearview mirror of a parked or passing car. Lightly. A small clip. Darshan apologized. By every account, he said sorry. The driver of that car, Manoj Kumar, a Kalari Payattu martial arts trainer, did not accept the apology.
No.
He executed a U-turn and began to chase them. According to police, the pursuit went on for nearly 1.25 miles through the streets of JP Nagar, Kumar's car hunting the scooter through a city in the middle of the night. Then he rammed them deliberately from behind. Darshan and Varun hit the tarmac. Varun survived with injuries. Darshan, 24 years old, sustained severe head trauma in the fall and died before or shortly after reaching the hospital. And here's where it gets grotesque, because the story wasn't over. Nope. CCTV footage across the area had captured the entire chase and the impact. Police were able to reconstruct the full sequence. And that same CCTV footage, according to investigators, later showed Kumar and his wife, Arati Sharma, returning to the crash scene. In disguise. To collect broken fragments of their car from the road. They were trying to remove the physical evidence from the street, piece by piece, in the middle of the night, on camera. My goodness. Both were arrested and placed in judicial custody. Darshan's family spoke to journalists about how his body had reportedly lain on the road for hours before it was moved. They talked about a young man who was just doing his job, riding home with a friend, who apologized for a brushed mirror and was chased over 1 mile and killed for it. Rest easy, bro. Liam Jones, Birmingham, England, August 1st, 2023, Sheldon area, around Coventry Road and Moat Lane. Liam Jones, 22, was riding his electric bike with a friend through the city. Liam was, by reputation, a bit of a showboat on the e-bike. He liked to do wheelies. On this particular evening, he did a stand-up wheelie in front of a Seat Leon that happened to be following behind him and his friend. It was exactly the kind of thing that probably annoyed the driver. And that is a perfectly reasonable thing to be annoyed by. You know what the appropriate response is? You drive around him and get on with your evening. Abdi Rahman Ibrahim did not do that. CCTV footage, and there is CCTV footage of almost every stage of what follows, shows Ibrahim's Seat Leon beginning to tail Jones and his friend, staying close, not overtaking. The decision to turn an irritating wheelie into a vehicular hunt. He followed them through the streets of Sheldon, riding their bumper. Then he drove deliberately into the back wheel of Liam's e-bike, sending him down. Instead of stopping, Ibrahim accelerated and hit him again. The second impact threw Liam Jones into a concrete bollard. Liam sustained severe chest and abdominal injuries from the two impacts and the collision with the bollard. He died at the scene. Ibrahim fled in the Seat Leon, parked it elsewhere, and called his brother to arrange a taxi to get them away from the area. Police reviewed the CCTV footage, which clearly showed the pursuit, the deliberate first strike, and the second impact, traced the car, and arrested Ibrahim. At trial, the judge made a point of stating that there was no evidence Liam or his friend had provoked Ibrahim in any meaningful way beyond the wheelie. Ibrahim simply could have driven around him. He chose not to. Ibrahim was convicted of murder and sentenced to life in prison. His brother pleaded guilty to assisting an offender. The phrase that stuck in the coverage, the phrase the court and press kept returning to, was that Ibrahim had wanted to teach him a lesson. That was the motivation. A 22-year-old on an electric bike did a wheelie, and a man in a hatchback decided his job that evening was to be the consequence. The lesson he delivered was a concrete bollard and a dead kid on a Birmingham street. At least the cameras caught every second of it. Haley Benefiel. Indianapolis, Indiana, Friday afternoon, October 17, 2025. West 38th Street and Georgetown Road, west side of the city. Haley Benefiel, 23, was sitting in her mint green Ford Escape SUV at a red light. The light turned green. She didn't move. The car behind her, driven by 21-year-old Kentrell Settles, waited, and then gave one short honk to let her know the light had changed. One honk. One honk. According to court documents, Settles then simply pulled around her and continued on his way. A perfectly normal interaction between two adults sharing a road. He had somewhere to be. She had a green light. It should have ended there. It did not end there, because Haley is not the kind of person who lets a honk just go. No, no, no. Settles' girlfriend, who was in the passenger seat, later told police that Haley immediately started screaming inside her car, flailing her arms around like someone had just insulted her entire bloodline, and then peeled out to follow them. She chased their vehicle to Georgetown Plaza, about half a mile, where Settles was trying to drop his girlfriend off. As they turned in, Haley pulled alongside the car and, according to the court affidavit, fired one shot from a .40 caliber Glock through the rear passenger window. The bullet entered Kentrell Settles' right side, tore through his lung and heart, and came to rest in his chest cavity. All because of a goddamn honk. Settles' girlfriend, realizing he'd been shot, climbed over and steered the car to Donald Avenue, where police found it. Detectives found one bullet hole in the vehicle. They used license plate recognition software to trace the mint green Escape back to the registered owner, Haley's mother, and found Haley at a petrol station, where she was busy peeling the distinctive stickers off the back window of the SUV. As you do. Investigators searched the vehicle and her belongings and recovered the .40 caliber Glock in a handbag. Haley told a SWAT officer the gun had been in a bag in her apartment. It had not been in her apartment. It had been in the car. It had always been in the car. Kentrell was declared dead at Eskenazi Health Hospital at 2:43 in the afternoon. Haley was charged with murder and criminal recklessness. David Berglund. Calgary, Alberta, Tuesday, December 12, 2023. The Temple neighborhood, northeast of the city. Snow on the ground. David Berglund, 35, was driving a GMC Sierra pickup truck when he became involved in a road rage confrontation with a small red Chevrolet Aveo. Two very different vehicles, very different drivers, and a situation that had already passed the point of no return before most people would even have noticed it starting. A passenger in the Aveo had already called 911. They were reporting an active, ongoing road rage incident, telling the dispatcher that the Sierra had been involved in an earlier collision, an injury and run. According to police, David was driving erratically, weaving through traffic. At some point, he reportedly displayed a knife toward the occupants of the Aveo. So, a man with a knife in a truck and a small car whose passenger is on the phone with emergency services. The dispatcher, hearing all of this in real time, explicitly advised the people in the Aveo to disengage, to stop following the truck, to create distance, to wait for police. That advice was ignored. The Aveo continued following the Sierra. Both vehicles eventually stopped on Temple Drive Northeast near the 6900 block. David got out of the truck. The Aveo drove past him. At that moment, David kicked the passenger side of the car as it went by, and the Aveo stopped. The driver, Stephen Allen, 34, put it in reverse and drove backward, deliberately, with force, into David, pinning him against a tree. A full-sized man between a reversing car and a tree trunk in a residential street in the snow. A witness at the scene covered his body with a blanket. David was declared dead where he fell, on the snow-covered grass of Temple Drive. Stephen was arrested and charged with manslaughter. He appeared in court and was released on bail pending proceedings. Calgary Police Chief Mark Neufeld called the incident shocking and used it publicly as a case study in how quickly road rage escalates to lethal violence. Jason Elola, Castro Valley, California, November 8th, 2025. Jason Elola, 49, was having a good evening. He and his wife, Gabrielle, had just been to a birthday dinner in San Francisco for their son, one of 9 children, because Jason was very much a family man in the fullest possible sense. On the way home, the family stopped at Lord's Ice Cream in Castro Valley. Classic end to a good night. 2 youngest daughters in the back seat, his wife in the front. They got back on the road, and somewhere near the intersection of Wilbeam Avenue and Norbridge Avenue, their Subaru and a larger SUV driven by Martin Davis Jr. made contact. A fender bender. According to the family, Davis had cut them off. The 2 vehicles clipped each other, and the tension between the drivers accelerated fast. And Jason did what a lot of people feel an instinct to do in that situation, especially when their family's in the car. He got out. He was the dad. He was going to deal with it. His wife and daughters watched from inside the Subaru as he walked toward the other vehicle to confront Martin Davis Jr., who had also stepped out. A physical fight broke out on the street, with the kids still in the car. At some point during the struggle, Jason went down. He was on the ground, seriously injured from blunt force trauma sustained in the fight. Emergency services arrived and transported him to hospital. He died from his injuries. Martin Davis Jr., 37, was arrested on suspicion of murder and booked into Santa Rita Jail. Jason's family set up a GoFundMe and told journalists he had died protecting his family after a routine fender bender. The Alameda County Sheriff's Office and the California Highway Patrol both publicly urged people to stay calm after minor accidents. Don't get out, don't engage, let it go.